Lagos City, good morning, good morning, good morning. We're moving forward with Business Express, Smooth 98.1 FM. I am Rotus. I want to give a shout out to all my capitalists out there. I'm one of you. I am one of you. But I want us to have a discussion about capitalism and profiting off of misfortune, because some fascinating things that are going on right now in the global economy. As usual, joining the conversation 0809 444 0981. We are streaming on YouTube, youtube.com/smooth91. We are on Twitter at smooth91fm. Follow me, Rotan Quote. Let's have conversation on there as well. Tag smooth. Use the hashtag Business Express 981. So the World Bank is looking at reducing their forecast for global growth as a result of the outbreak of the coronavirus. That's what they're looking at, because businesses are shutting down and things are getting out of hand across the globe. Now, you heard Valentine and Ayo talking about Qatar wanting to buy a position in Rwanda Air. We'll get to that in a second. Aviation industry is so fascinating. But before we get to that, I want to ask you your thoughts about profiting off of misfortune, profiting off of this virus. That is capitalism for you, because capitalism is a system where private hands control industry and they are strictly for profits. That's it. It's all about opportunity. All right. So get this. We're all familiar with short selling, are we not? I think we're all familiar with short selling on the stock exchange. Can't really do it on the Nigerian stock exchange. It would be nice to do it though. But of course there's some risk involved. But let me lay it out for you. If I'm using this as an example, since we'll get into aviation in a second. Cathay Pacific, is one of the airlines that Qatar has a position in. They seem to like taking positions in aviation companies. But Cathay Pacific, I think they are Hong Kong's flagship carrier. They recently told their employees to take 3 weeks off unpaid leave. They said, look, employees are sorry, you guys, you have to take off some time off work. We don't have money to pay you right now because this coronavirus is decimating our airline travel routes. Now, Cathay Pacific is a publicly traded company on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. All right. So let's assume that it trades on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I want to present this scenario to you. With short selling, you are taking a bet that a company's stock is going to drop and you want to profit off of that drop. So what you do is you borrow shares that you do not own, you sell them on the open market, and then if your bet goes right and the shares drop, you buy them back at the lower price and you make the difference. So for an example, I think it's trading at what is it now? $10 or so on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. But let's use Naira. Let's come home. Let's assume they're trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and we'll just use 1,000 Naira per share. Cathay Pacific is trading at 1,000 Naira per share. So you see the news: coronavirus is spreading. Airlines are cutting routes. Airline stocks are dropping. You're like, hey, let me target you, the capitalist. Let me target this airline. So you go and you borrow 3 shares of Cathay Pacific, right? Now, those shares are priced at 1,000 Naira, So it's 3,000 Naira. So you take those 3 shares, you go to the open market, and you sell the shares, yes? So now you've pocketed 3,000. Now, your bet goes right. Coronavirus is decimating their shares. They're dropping. The shares drop by 50%, and they drop to 500 Naira per share. You now go and take those shares on the open market that you're returning to your broker that you borrowed, and you return them at 1,500. Remember, it was 1,000 Naira. You sold them on, and you got 3,000 Naira. You've taken them and returned them at 1,500. You've pocketed 1,500 Naira profits. Now, of course, this thing could go wrong because that's the nature of bets. What if the shares jump up to 2,000 Naira per share? You've now sold them for 3,000, but then you're buying them back at 6,000. So you've now pretty much lost money. However, the thing is, it's the concept. It's the concept that I'm looking at here. I'm wondering what you guys are thinking. Our Silver Fox, Ugo Dre, is joining us. Ugo, I was just talking about short selling and profiting misfortune. What do you where do you stand on? You are a capitalist.
I'm just
now.
wondering where you're getting your inspiration from this morning. This early morning, short selling, capitalism, profiting off someone's
Yes,
misfortune.
now because
Val, and you're here, sucking it all in.
Just let him do his thing.
Rotus
No,
is gonna
He's in the spirit.
it's
capitalize on your misfortune.
It is. I find it so fascinating. I find. What do you think? In fact, we don't have short selling yet on the NSC to an extent. It's not quite there.
Not really there.
'Cause
Not
there's some
really there
risks.
yet. Yeah.
Huh?
I mean, like I was telling somebody the other day, like there's been this battle, with Elon Musk,
Yes.
with some short sellers over
And,
the last
Tesla.
few months,
Yeah.
and he's basically just eating them raw.
Destroying
So
them.
short selling goes either way. So I mean, you think that somebody's business is going to go down,
Yes.
right? And then
You
you
have-
take a bet that it's going to
Exactly,
go
that
down,
they will
and
fail.
then you do everything within your powers to make sure that guy goes down. So you write articles, you publish reports,
Yes.
explaining why this stock is bad and why this stock should go down. And then, sometimes it just works. People just see them like, "Ooh, you're really saying something really right." And then the share price starts to go down, and then you profit.
Off it.
There is also this other one called CDS. Remember that? That was very, very prominent in the
During the mortgage, thing in the
mortgage
States.
crisis, credit default swap. So
Mm.
basically, Rotus and Valentine
Yeah.
got into a contract. So Rotus borrowed money from Valentine,
Yes.
right? And then I'm just sitting there on my own. I'm not even involved in the contract.
Mm.
And I say to Ayo that I'm pretty sure that Rotus is going to default.
I won't pay
on that.
Valentine back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's going to default. And
Yeah.
Ayo is saying, no, he's not. I said, he's going to default. Here's what will happen. You pay me,
Okay.
right? If Rotus defaults, you pay me, say, $1,000.
Yeah.
Okay. But in the meanwhile, I would always pay you maybe $1
Mm.
every month. All right. So we enter a credit
A,
default
a,
swap.
a contract. based
Yeah, a
on that.
contract, and betting that Rotus is going to default against Valentine.
Yeah.
It's got nothing. I don't know. You guys don't know me. You guys don't even have taken this kind of bet on you. And then I go out and I start to write all sorts of stuff and start to explain why.
I'm a bad debtor.
Yeah, why
I
you're
don't-
bad,
oh,
why you
yeah,
fail, why your business is
exactly.
not doing well, and blah blah blah. Because I've taken a CDS on you, and then
Mm.
who knows?
So
6
wait,
months
wait,
later,
this is the thing, right?
That's capitalism
So,
in a way.
in a way, it's,
That's the other side of it.
it's
It's giving you some adrenaline rush.
it's
Rotus.
really
Are you
is.
evil?
I'm just
Rotus has a dark
I'm
side.
fascinated by the whole concept of it. Okay, let's see here. Timothy says successful people are risk takers, daring to go the road less taken. Yeah, but Timothy, my key thing was this is based on the misfortune of others. All right, so Ugo Dre, I want to get your thoughts on this. Concerns mount over upcoming OMO maturities. There's I think Business Day was talking about it, saying that there's a chance, although this is a chance, that okay, what if holders of OMO auctions, as a foreign investors, don't decide to take dollars back and leave, and the pressure it might take on the foreign reserves of the CBN. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're getting such juicy rates at 13-14%. I don't think they're going to decide to, okay, I don't want anymore, let me take my money and go. What do you think?
Yeah, the risk is there. Remember that when the CBN chased out investors out of the OMO market, they left foreign investors and banks, and so banks were left there because OMO bills are originally for them, and then banks are also there to provide some kind of liquidity for that market. So the fear is that foreign investors would be looking at Nigerian economy and what has happened over the last few weeks,
Yep.
and saying, look, do I still want to roll over my money when it matures, or do I just put it out? You know what I mean? So that's the fear. But when you look around the world and you see that interest rates around the world are still near zero,
Right.
and then you have a government that is promising you 13-14% or thereabouts on the bill, and guaranteed that you're not going to incur any exchange rate risk, then it's pretty much difficult to sort of ignore this, or not have appetite for this kind of bill, or to roll over. And these are short-term securities anyway, so you can typically always get out. So the rational thing to do, or you would think, is that they will sort of roll this over. Except you want to be like Roaches, be this kind of like capitalist and sort of wish everything bad is going to happen to Nigeria. If you think that it's not going to happen to Nigeria, that you're pretty sure that you're going to get your money at the end of the day, then it's a no-brainer. That the roll is over. But there's that little bit of fear about oil prices and falling. But we all know it's because of the coronavirus, so it's pretty much short term. So things might turn around at some point. We don't want to see oil below $50. That's going to spook the entire market. So,
but the fear is there. The fear is there.
It's there. But I mean, like, what's the world without fear anyway? So I mean, that you'd always have to embrace some kind of fear. And the funny thing is that despite everything that has happened, from the Iran,
missiles
to the US impeachment probe, to climate change fears, to this coronavirus, the New York Stock Exchange or the American stocks have basically been flying.
Still going up.
European stocks are also not doing that badly. So the global economy is still resilient, even though growth is stagnated somewhat, right? But still kind of resilient. So you think that there's just a bout of optimism out there. People are pretty much optimistic about the world, maybe because there's a lot of cheap funds from the US flowing into the world global economy. So people look back and like, look, I'm collecting this money at 0.5% now. Oh, they just bombed that place. How many people died? 10.
Sorry.
Will anything happen?
And
Put the money there. Put the money there. Put the money
That
there.
time you're not even thinking about people. You're not being
Yeah.
empathetic.
That
You're
is the whole point.
Being empathetic to your accounts, your bank
Yeah.
account.
It's the capitalism that he's talking
You see.
about. No,
I'm still on this corona thing. I want to get your thoughts on something else. But this is essentially what I'm talking about. MI sends this message. It says the eternal argument of capital is the dilemma between morality and commerce. Should commerce have more soul or just be ice cold? So capitalists are just vultures. They hover around things about to die and going for the kill. Sharks smell blood. And that is pretty much what I was discussing. Okay, Isaac didn't catch everything Ugo Dre was saying. Isaac tuned in a little late. Said, good morning, please. What's CDS? Ugo Dre was saying something about it, collecting CDS from someone and then writing articles. Essentially, the
credit defaults.
Credit defaults.
Don't do it though. That's what you're asking.
You're taking a bet, securitizing an outcome.
You're taking a bet that someone's going to default on his loan, basically. And you're going to profit when that guy defaults on his loan.
Exactly.
That's the CDS.
Exactly.
Basically.
Okay, so
someone created it though.
Yeah, now based on
you watch that movie, The Big Short.
The Big Short, fantastic.
Some guy created. He just went to the banks and asked the bank to create that product for him. And then they thought it was crazy. They're like, look, I'm gonna keep paying you guys, but whenever these guys default, you're gonna pay me. And they were like, really, you want this?
And they said yes. They thought it was a mad person.
Okay, we'll create it for you.
I see Ugo. By the way, if everybody, Ugo. The movie is The Big Short. You should all go and watch it.
It's got a book too.
Exactly.
I prefer the book though.
When we talk about deepening the Nigerian stock, deepening liquidity in the Nigerian stock exchange, aren't those? I mean, I know it's risky, but isn't that what we're talking about with being able to create those type of securities and adding depth to the market? Isn't that what we're looking for here?
That really helps, market participation. It helps create all sorts of investments that we can do, right? Because, excuse me, people that are going to go into derivatives like CDS and things like that don't usually use their money alone, so they pool funds. So for a lot of us out there who are saying, look, man, I've got 1 million naira, what do I invest in, and blah blah blah. So you've just got a whole lot of investment outlets out there for you. So that's where these products are very, very that's why they're quite important to have them. I think Nigerian Stock Exchange has tried a bit to try to put them in there, but the stock market itself is not very liquid. So in terms of volumes of trade on a daily basis, it's not liquid. Imagine if you had to take positions against some of your very favorite stocks. You know what that means. Like, so when you have a lot of your analysts over here who everybody's defending. So you've got somebody on the other side and somebody on this other side, and somebody who's long and another person who's short, and then they're arguing about the prospect of a stock. It just makes everything quite exciting and interesting. It'd be nice to have them here.
Okay, real quick, Oluzil says, morning guys. For a true capitalist, crisis essentially embraces fear and opportunity, so you always have to choose one. Okay, Ugo Dre, I mentioned this at the top of the hour, and this is on it's on Nairametrics. The World Bank lowers global growth forecast over the coronavirus outbreak. See, I want to ask you something. You know, I mean, I've always felt that China hasn't been very transparent with a lot of what goes on there. They've maintained, was it 6.57% GDP growth for, I think, as long as I've been alive, or and folks have wondered whether they cook their books. Or anyway, the thing here is that some wonder whether they are hiding the true nature of how bad the outbreak is, and whether or not things could get worse. So now the World Bank is, saying that they are lowering their forecast for global growth. What do you think? You think China is hiding anything? Also, what do you think about the precautions the World Bank is taking?
Well, I mean, like I was watching China state TV news a few days ago.
State controlled, as you mentioned,
and then,
state controlled TV.
They were talking about how WHO has basically given them positive vibes, that accolades, that they've really managed this very well beyond, I mean, anyone's imagination, and like this is basically a template for how crisis, how crisis should be treated across the world. You know what I mean? That's what the guy was saying, and then the guy was saying is that. So, and then I was waiting for, how you watch Western news cycles, and then you see the quotes from the guy who actually said that thing. You know what I mean? And then I didn't see any quote. It was just the newscaster saying it. He said, I'm like, let the guy say it. Let's just hear it from the guy. And then the guy wasn't saying that. And then I'm like, oh geez. And then a few days later on the Financial Times. That same day, rather, than the Financial Times, and the World Health Organization is accusing China of not basically being very transparent about this whole coronavirus issue. So there's a little bit of that fear, or that anger, or distrust, maybe that's the right word, distrust around how China is basically treating this. But on the other side, they're not doing that badly. I think that you recall that they built a hospital in 10 days.
Yeah, that's amazing.
China is not a small country. That's a huge country, over a billion people. So being able to contain things like that is not easy. So you got to give it to them as well. I don't think that a lot of countries would have done it any differently. Right, maybe be more transparent, but it's not that simple. Remember when in the US during the Obama period, when they had that pipe blow up on the ground, and it took days, weeks, if not weeks, for them to eventually fix it. So countries can usually go through all those kind of motions. But my biggest fear though is that there's another headline on the Financial Times yesterday that said China's energy sector, they are already predicting that their own demand could drop by a whopping 25%.
And would that not affect us? Because
yes, it could.
It has an impact on us.
What it means is that a lot of people who sell to China will now start to follow us to struggle in India. You know what I mean? So they should just leave our India for us, so that we can keep selling to them. So that's the risk, and that's why you're seeing oil prices basically dip. And when oil prices dip, it does affect us negatively. Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Okay, I want to get to your thoughts. Are you already giving how many?
30 seconds.
Valentine, how now? How
30
are you?
seconds.
Oh, okay. Let me quickly read this message from Darlington. Good morning. Capitalists don't preach morality. They just go in for the kill. They don't preach and abide by any good book.
That's Rotus, not me.
No, I'm reading Darlington.
I'm an angel capitalist.
Okay, 30 seconds. That's enough time. We have Ugo Dre, of Nairametrics. You can go to nairametrics.com and read all those headlines there. Thank you so much for joining us, giving us your thoughts. Thank you all for your messages. Yinka, MI, Darlington, everybody else. We'll keep watching what's going on, and keep it locked on Smooth 98.1 FM. Business Express is signing out.
Business trends beyond the headlines.
Thanks for coming.